The sky was gray. Despite being a dry summer morning, the air felt unusually cold. Months of no rain had left the streets of the town dusty, and the surrounding fields cracked and barren. Children could no longer play outside as they used to, because every step they took stirred up clouds of dust that stung their eyes. The townspeople were desperate. Water supplies were dwindling, and crops were completely gone. Everyone kept asking the same question: when will it rain? Around the town, there was a crow named Blackie. Blackie, with its glossy black feathers, sharp beak, and piercing eyes, was a familiar sight to the townspeople. But since the drought began, Blackie's behavior had changed. Every morning, the crow would fly to the parched fields surrounding the town and peck at the cracked soil as though searching for something. Nobody could figure out what it was doing, but everyone had grown accustomed to its presence. One day, Samuel, the town's oldest farmer, went to his field early in the morning. Staring at his barren land, he sighed, "This soil is useless now." His eyes welled up with tears. He had spent decades working this land, but now it seemed like all his efforts were for nothing. As he sat in the middle of the field, crumbling a handful of soil in his hands, he noticed a familiar sound. Tap, tap, tap. Turning his head, he saw Blackie hopping across the cracks in the soil. "Are you searching for something in this dead land too?" Samuel murmured. Blackie paid him no attention. Instead, the crow dropped something into one of the cracks and flew away. Samuel was puzzled but dismissed it. "What can a crow do to save this land?" he muttered to himself. The next day, Samuel heard the same sound again. Tap, tap, tap. Blackie had returned and was once again dropping something into the cracks of the soil. This strange behavior continued for several days. Curious, Samuel decided to follow Blackie one morning. He quietly hid behind a tree and observed the crow. To his astonishment, Blackie was carrying a small seed in its beak. The crow carefully placed the seed into one of the cracks and flew off to fetch another. Samuel whispered to himself, "Is this crow planting seeds?" Samuel shared what he had seen with other farmers in the town. At first, they laughed. "A crow planting seeds? That's ridiculous," they said. But a few days later, another farmer noticed the same thing. Blackie wasn't just visiting Samuel's field, it was planting seeds across the town's fields. Word spread quickly, and soon the townspeople began gathering at the fields to watch Blackie. They saw the crow, day after day, flying back and forth, carrying seeds and carefully placing them in the cracked soil. Everyone was asking the same question: can a crow really bring these dead fields back to life? One morning, the sky darkened for the first time in months. Clouds began to gather and the air felt heavy with anticipation. The townspeople stood outside, looking up at the sky, hopeful but hesitant. "Maybe it will rain," they whispered. And then, the first drop fell. It was followed by another, and another, until a full rainstorm drenched the town. Samuel stood in his field, watching the water soak into the ground, filling the cracks that had once seemed endless. Days after the rain, Samuel noticed something incredible. The seeds Blackie had planted were sprouting. Tiny green shoots were breaking through the soil, bringing life back to the barren land. "It's a miracle," Samuel shouted with joy. News spread quickly, and the other fields also showed signs of life. The townspeople realized that Blackie's small but meaningful efforts had given them a second chance. Blackie was no longer just a crow. It was now the town's hero. Children sang songs about the crow, and farmers erected small statues in its honor. "Sometimes, the smallest beings can teach us the biggest lessons," Samuel said, as he organized a day to celebrate Blackie's contribution. Inspired by the crow's persistence, the townspeople began replanting their fields and supporting one another more than ever. Blackie's story became a symbol of resilience and hope in the town. Blackie's actions reminded everyone that even the smallest gestures could lead to monumental changes. It taught the town that hope could come from the most unexpected places. This once-forgotten crow had not only revived the land, but also restored the community's spirit. What other animals might surprise us with their quiet heroism? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to discover more heartwarming stories like Blackie's.